David? Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin the funeral, we ask for those that have a cell phone or pager, if you could turn it to the silent mode. Officiating today is Rabbi Alan Abramson. Hey, David, come on.
David Shamrani Alki Hisi Bach Marti La Denai Elohim Atah Tavosi Balecha Ligdoshim Shibot Hema Vadire Kochevti Bam Yibu Atvosom Achar Maharu Balasich Niskayam Idam Balasash Mosomas Kosoy Venamas Chalki Bchosi Tatamech Korali Chavalim Napoli Banimim Apnach Chalasha for Aloy Avrech Adonai Ashi Otsani Aplelosi Suni Kliosoy Shivisan Elenegi Samid Ki Mimini Balamolchain Samach Libi Viagel Kvodi Apesori is going to be of Nashilish all of Sitin Chatz Chalarot Shachas for the Any or the Chaim Service Machos of Penechan Imos Bimincha Netzach. The members of the family will deliver the Hespedim, the words of comfort and reminiscences of Linda's life and her accomplishments. I just wish to introduce by saying that we remember Linda. My comments to Michael last night were that she was a lady. She represented what a lady, a gentleman or a gentle lady, a lady who was helpful, who was loved by all. In fact, Michael mentioned to me that to those who looked at her as young, she was a young, very energetic woman, and others saw her as the elder sage who gave advice to everyone. She was Norman's helper at the store in Peoria for many, many years. She was liked by all, and certainly for those of us who had the privilege of knowing her, we've had the privilege of knowing someone who was a great woman and a woman of valor and a woman of principle. In order of those who will be delivering the Hespedim will be cousin Howard Wolff, followed by David, and son Michael.
Sadly, it's time to say goodbye to our Linda, beloved daughter, wife, mother, grandmother, sister, aunt, for me, cousin, and of course, a good friend to so many. I first met Linda in 1968 My roommate Norman told me that I must come to a Friday night service at Northwestern University Hillel. He wanted to introduce me to this amazing girl that he had just met. He told me that she's beautiful and smart, and she and I even shared a last name. Her last name was Wolff, spelled with two F's, just like mine. He got a laugh out of that. Norman was impressed with the fact that she was a graduate student, studied Russian, and lived with a rabbi in his family at the time. We double dated, and we all spent a lot of time together in those early days. One day, Norman told me that he was going to propose, and he hoped that she would accept. Obviously, she did, and the rest is history. They were married in New Jersey on a cold January in 1969, and for the next almost 45 years, Norman and Linda were virtually inseparable. They both had such a strong bond and a mutual love that sadly was cut short much too soon. It may have been difficult for this city girl to move to a small town like Peoria, but she did it with a great attitude and a smile, and made Peoria her home. Linda made close friends, became deeply involved in the shul, and raised a wonderful family, David, Michael, and Debbie, and their families are her beautiful legacy. Linda lived her last years without her beloved Norman, gracefully surrounding herself with her children and their families and close friends, regularly traveling from city to city. She loved to cruise and travel the world with her brother Ted as well, whom she also lost far too soon. She maintained her independence, and I think even at times enjoyed her time alone at home in Peoria to just decompress. We will all miss her deeply. I will miss our 10:30 at night phone calls. Linda always said, "Please don't call me early, but you can call me as late in the evening as you would like." Linda, you and Norman are together again, hopefully enjoying a nice, quiet dinner and your time together. Rest in peace, dear Linda. We love you and miss you, and you will be in all of our hearts and memories forever. Amen.
Growing up, we led a largely unremarkable life, very normal, two loving parents who led by example. My mom, she took care of us, she took care of my dad, he took care of her and us as well. And I think it's because of them, the three of us, as different as we are very similar, where we place our spouses, our families, far beyond most anybody else. I credit her for making all of us the people who we are today. She was a leader by example. And while it never gets easy to lose a parent, I take small comfort that she's back with my dad, whom I feel she missed more than she let on these past many years. I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to come here and pay their respects to us and to Mom. Thank you.
Before I say my own thoughts, which I made some notes, I just want to share a letter that my wife wrote last night or this morning. Dear Mom, there would be hundreds and hundreds of people, adults and children, standing here if all the lives you touched were present. You are a righteous woman. You wanted to give your whole entire life. You wanted to make others happy and content with their needs. You called and gave to your community and shul in Peoria at any chance you came to Chicago could bring back kosher food for them. You worked in Peoria to sustain Jewish life there and in your shul. You gave to your children and grandchildren in whatever way was good to help them. You accommodated your children's and community needs based on what they required, not your will, and we never knew what your ultimate will was because you always wanted our lives to be the best they could be. The children always asked upon your arrival, "When are you leaving, Bubby?" You always joked that they wanted to get rid of you as soon as you got here. It was always the exact opposite. They always felt you left so fast. They wanted to know how much more time they had to cherish you before you left. We did not know the end was coming so fast. The best thing you did for us was to come up to Chicago and stay here for a while so we could enjoy you. You dedicated your life to being a pillar of the Peoria Jewish community. You made sure your house and the shul kitchen stayed kosher. You made sure there were services and minyanim available. You made sure the bookkeeping and finances of the shul office were up to par. You took care of your friends. Some had health issues. You were there for them. You also helped Chabad. You never stopped learning. You picked up a Torah book whenever there was one lying around our house, or went to a class to learn. So many people were touched by you in your life in obvious and secret ways. You are a righteous woman with much for us to emulate. We thought you would be here forever, Mom, but it was time for you to return and sit in the chair of honor next to our Maker. And I just wrote a short outline of things I wanted to mention. The first is to say thank you. Number one is thank you to Hashem. We said my mother is 75, which nowadays is young, but my mother has had a liver disease for 50 years, and she was a walking miracle, and we were so fortunate to have had her. My mother had a desire to have children. There's a large gap between my older brother and me in time, and I once had the chutzpah to ask my mother if it was an accident that we came along so much later, and my mother said, absolutely not. She said she searched and searched until she could find a Catholic OB who would let her have more children and say it was okay. I have to say thank you to my family, to Debbie, to David, to my wife Alita, to my in-laws for everything they've done. I just want to say about my mother, she is extremely smart, very smart person. One story she told me that when she graduated from college in New Jersey, and she was sitting down at the end of the year to meet with her advisor, and he said, "Oh, so what are you doing after graduation?" And she says, "Oh, I'm just going to go get a teaching job in whatever town they were." And he said, "Oh, no, you're much too smart for that." It was already the end of the year, but he made it work. He picked up the phone. "Hello, Paul, this is John. I've got a girl here." And that fall, she went to Northwestern as a graduate student, where she eventually met my father. As David mentioned, we had an unremarkable life, but Mom was always there. She always made sure things ran behind the scenes, whether it was in my dad's store in the office behind the scenes, or making sure there was always food, shopping. We never lacked for anything. It was always there. She would stay up until 1 or 2 in the morning. She would sleep late, but she would be up until 1 or 2 in the morning. Everything always got done. Everything always got done. As the rabbi mentioned, everyone liked my mother, just like they say Esther Amalka, and everyone liked her. There was something about my mother. The rabbi mentioned, she was a gentle lady. Someone else once told me how great my mother was enjoying the crass jokes he would tell. So Everyone saw what they wanted. One person told me she gave great advice. Another person told me she was young and vibrant. One person told me she was outgoing. I never saw her as outgoing. She was always quiet behind the scenes. But what people needed, what people saw, that's what she was. Mom, we never knew what you really wanted because you always were there for us. You did what we wanted. You did for us. And I want to ask you forgiveness for anything we did that was inappropriate, lacking of the honor we should give you, since we never knew what you wanted. It was very hard, but you were always there for us. So thank you.
Stay standing. El Malei Rachamim, Shochein Bameromim, Ametzei Menucha Nechonot, Achas Kanfei Ashchinom, B'malos Kedoshim Utorem Kezrokim Asirim Es Nishmas, Leah Bastov Shel Chol Olamam, Began Eden Tei Menucha Solachem Bal Rachamim, Yastireha B'Seisek and Afaf Lolamim, V'Yisroar B'Sor Chaim Es Nishmasa Adonai Nachalasa V'Sanuach V'Shalom HaMishkava V'Naimar Amen. God full of compassion dwells on high. Grant proper repose on the sheltering wings of your presence. In the lofty levels of the holy and pure shine as the brightness of the firmament. Unto the neshama of Mrs. Linda Schwabacher, who has gone to her eternal home. May her repose be in Gan Eden. May the Master of compassion bring her under the cover of God's wings and bind her soul in the bond of life. May Hashem be her heritage, and may she repose on her resting place in peace. And let us say, Amen. I will do Kriya. You can start. Start with Debbie. You press the button. You have to type in cards. no bottom at all. You don't have offer, right? It's in there already.
would say to drive around 20 minutes.
Those of you who have Siddurim, we're going to say Tzaddik Hadin. Otherwise, you can say it as I say it. Tzaddik Hadin. Atzor Tamim Palok Yichol Durachav Mishpat El Emano V'Yinovel Tzadik V'Yoshor Hu. Atzor Tamim B'Chol Po'al Miyomar Lo Matifol HaShalit V'Matov V'Ma'al Meimi Simchayem Morid Sh'ol V'Yoal. Atzor Tamim B'Chol Maaseh Miyomar Elov Ma'taseh Ha'omer V'Oseh Chesed Chinam Lanu Saseh V'Zchus HaNekad Kseh Hakshiva V'Yaseh Tzadik B'Chol Durachav Atzor Tamim Erech Apayim Amali Rachamim Chamalno v'chusno alavosu banim ki lecho adon hasichos v'rachamim tzadik ato Adonai l'hamis l'chayos asher b'yodcha pekdon kol v'chos chalila lecho zichalneinu limchos v'yu enecha b'rachamim aleinu b'gachos ki lecho adon harachamim v'asichos Adam in ben shana yihya or elo shanim yichya ma yisron lo kalo ayoyeh baruch tayan ameth b'misum chayeh Ruchu ki emes dino mishaltev akol beino mishalem adam cheshbono b'dino v'akol lishmo hadaya yitenu yadanu Adonai ki tzedek mishpatecha tzitak b'davrecha v'sizke b'shavtecha v'ein laharer acha mita shavtecha tzidik ato Adonai v'yashom mishpatecha dayan emes shofet tzedek v'emes baruch dayanu emes shakol mishpatav tzedek v'emes Nefesh kol chai biyadecha, tzedek mala yeminecha biyadecha, lachem apleita son yadecha, v'soma lamala cherav yadecha. Gedol leitzav rav aliyah, asher enecha b'pekuchos kol darchei v'nei adam, l'sei slish gedracha v'chefri malav, l'agid gashur Adonai tzuri v'olah sabo, Adonai nosan, Adonai lakach yishem, Adonai mavarach, Urachu michaper avon v'lo yashchis v'hir pal ha'ashev apo v'lo ya'ir kol chamasa. Okay. Okay. Well, that's enough, and then we'll say Kaddish Kaddish. I let them want to make a thing. Okay. That's enough. Okay, Kaddish. You have the Kaddish there? Well, you want to proceed? All right, so then David and Miss Debbie. Okay, go ahead.
Shmei Rabba Bialama Di Hu Asid Ischadasa Ul Achaya Messiah Ul Asaka Lechaya Alma Ul Mivne Karta the Yishlaim Ul Ushchalel Hechle Begava Ul Mekar Pachana Nuchra'a Me'ara Ul Bela Sava Ul Chana the Ishmayale Asrei V'Yimlach Kuchabrichu B'Machusei V'Karei V'Chayechon V'Yomechon V'Chayei D'Chol Beis Yisrael Bag Olo V'Zman Kariv V'Imru Amen Yehei Shemei Rabba V'Varach V'Olam V'Olomei Omaya V'Yisbarach V'Yishtabach V'Yispar V'Yisraman V'Yisnasei V'Yishador V'Yis'aleh V'Yishalol Shemei D'Kudusha B'Richu Le'ela Min Kol Birchasa V'Shirasa Tushbechasa V'Nechamasa Damiran V'Olama V'Imru Amen Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shmaya V'Chayim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Imru Amen Oseh Shalom B'Mromav Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Imru Amen.
This concludes the funeral. They asked family and friends to form an aisle where leading away from the grave. The immediate mourners will walk through them. Family also.
Moscow, in Aachen, is Tam Sof, Sha'avet Tim Yishalayim.